washes over the land, driven by a powerful artifact known as the Soulmonger. 4 would-be heroes had been sent to the jungles of Chult to destroy the cause of this terrible affliction. Vale, the half-elven paladin, who's just now learning of his divinely granted powers. Ubo, the turtle monk from a distant land, who's as quick with his wit as he is with his staff. Brilinia, Aasimar warlock, sent on this quest by her temple, discovering herself in this strange new land. And Gunslinger Cole, tiefling artificer and archaeologist who may just dig up more than she bargained for. This motley band of adventurers must work together to brave the poisonous plants, venomous monsters, thundering dinosaurs, and rotting undead of the jungle. Join the omnipotent dungeon master Jake from many-terrain domain to see if our heroes can find the Soulmonger, uncover the deeper mysteries of Chult, and free the world from the death curse. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to Chult of Personality.
Hey internets, it's Jake, and this is MTD&D's Chult of Personality, a Tomb of Annihilation Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition weekly campaign happening every Monday night right here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/mini-terrain domain. And this is episode 13 of our campaign. This episode is called Back on Track. After nearly a week in Port Nyanzaru, it's time that these folks get back on track. I am joined tonight, as I am every week, by 4 absolutely phenomenal role players and dungeon masters in their own rights. Playing Vale Istafal, the half-elf paladin, it is Mike the Piper. Playing Gunslinger Cole, our tiefling artificer, is the one and only Marquise. Playing Brilinia, our Aasimar warlock, is Megan. And our large and in-charge turtle monk, Ubo, is played by Drake.
I don't recall Ubo ever being in charge, but I'll go with it.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how everybody feels about him after tonight. So, does anybody want to take a stab? Do any of you want to take a stab at a recap from the last session? Anybody other than Marquise?
You know Marquise. Look at him.
I know Marquise wants to.
No, give him half a point of inspiration.
He's just collecting those points of inspiration.
No, he takes notes. It's not fair. He's in school, you know.
I think he's just got a nearly photographic memory.
We'll go with that. But I'll pass it. I'll pass on it this time in interest of faith.
Megan? Mike? Drake?
I'll give it a try. I'm not going to be as clever or as clear as Marquise. So we did some shit. Okay. We got to Port Nyanzaru, and I wrestled an Ankylosaurus, flipped his ass into the water. Megan.
No context. He just wrestled it.
Yeah, I just wrestled it because it was going crazy. Megan did some work at a temple, if I remember correctly, right? Or she was working something with the temple.
Again, no context. Nothing happened before that.
Yeah. Marquise was an asshole for most of the session.
Yeah.
Vale made some jokes.
Okay.
And he was like perfect timing, like spot on. Jake made beard references. And I was generally just a jerk. So that's about it. How's that?
All right. I'm going to take a point of inspiration for that.
Beautiful.
That was honestly, the only thing I remember is really wrestling the dinosaur.
That's, as per usual, Drake remembers what his character did. The awesome heroics. But yeah, after quite a few adventures in the jungles and the surrounding areas, and after a pretty harrowing, stormy night of revelations in Port Nyanzaru a couple episodes ago, The the characters had some time off in Port Nyanzaru to do some odd jobs, do some studying, as their patron, Sindra Sylvain, had taken to Wakanga Otamu has taken one of his pleasure barges out to sea to get some fresh air. She's the one who is most afflicted at this time by the death curse, and she was not doing well. So during this time, everybody took to these odd jobs, while your guide, Salida, had gone missing, as well as your companion, your Sariel companion, Dragonbait, who you learned had been taken by Quaothe and her Zentarum contacts further into the jungle. Salida, you were informed, had decided to take a few days, and she needed a break from you guys after the Executioner's run and the events with Quaothe. And during the time off, each of you took on different responsibilities. And we're going to go through those as we kind of touch on, at this point, 5 days has passed. You've been performing odd jobs and just taking it easy in the city of Port Nyanzaru, waiting for Syndra's return, so that you can, I believe Cole specifically wants to talk to her about some things. Ubo took on some dock work and had, on his first day, actually what led to his employment was a renegade ankylosaur, which is used to tow boats. It went nuts. He wound up tackling it into the water. Just a whole big to-do. And was rewarded not only with continued employment on the docks, but also was given the tail club and spikes from another ankylosaur and told to take them to an armorer in town. And so on this last day, you are told that your equipment, Ubo, is ready to be picked up from this armorer. So we're going to pick up with you as the armorer in town is handing you a package wrapped in linens. Describe what you see when you unwrap this package.
It's probably like a 2-foot kind of square parcel. It's wrapped in linen, but also has some twine wrapped around it and little, tie there. When he hands it to me, it's heavier than I expected. We talked a little bit about what I want to do, but I pretty much left it up to him. I told him generally I wasn't looking for really a weapon that I hold, but something that would just fit over my fists. And I'm surprised by the sheer weight of these. I believe you told me that each of these was going to weigh 8 or 9 pounds. So you're holding about 20 pounds worth of equipment here. And as I kind of pull the twine, up, just put it down on the counter, pull the twine, and start to slowly open the folds of this linen. What appears are the armorer took the tail club and he cut it in half, and he shaped the bowl out of the bone, kind of in a curved, like half moon shape. He attached that to a gauntlet. For all intents and purposes, and actually attached spikes to the bone and to the gauntlet itself. It went all the way up to my elbow, so probably about 2 feet long. And all of the weight in this weapon is at the end. This thing, it's like having a sledgehammer on the end of your fist. You notice that this kind of bone club at the end actually has a mechanism where it can slide back, revealing the hand. So I could use it. It also can snap back if you push it. But I find as I put them on and kind of tighten them down, but if I just kind of flick my hand out, that bone slides back over with like a click. And you see them just kind of putting them on and kind of going like this and flexing and just seeing how it all fits. And with that, you would see this just giant look on Ubo's face for a moment, just thinking to himself, I'm so glad I got rid of that staff. These are much more me. And with that, he would say thank you and just kind of nod to the armor, and he would put his hand down on the counter, but not realizing the weight. And actually, you would hear it splinter and crack as he kind of put his fist down too hard on it. And the armor would just kind of look up him and it's okay. It happens all the time. And with this, Ubo would again look down for a brief moment and just slide them off, unbuckle them, slide them off, wrap them back in the linen. And I'm sure he was carrying a backpack or something and just kind of put it in there for later. He's not going to wear them right now, but the whole time he's walking back to wherever his companions are, he is just smiling ear to ear, probably happier than any of you have ever seen him.
Yes, and you have, of course, been given the mechanical benefits of these unique weapons. Berlinia and Vale have been working with the temple after they were kind of led the charge initially. In one thing that we forgot to mention was that in Malar's Throat, in the slums on the southern edge of Port Nyanzaru, undead attacked the Temple of Timora, and you were quick to go to their aid, and they were very appreciative. They rewarded you with several gallons of Tej, as well as a healer's kit containing some healing potions. And throughout the week, you found yourself helping out in and around Port Nyanzaru, most notably in Malar's Throat with the temple. People seem to just, because of the aid, and particularly because of the unique powers that each of you displayed with connections to the gods, people see you almost as saints. Everywhere you go in the city, particularly Malar's Throat, people just want to touch you, just to reach out and brush your cape or trail a finger across your arm or something. People, every day, people are bringing fruits and vegetables and breads and tej and other gifts to the temple specifically for you. Oftentimes you find people putting money in your hand. More so Berlinia than Vale. Vale, you actually find, in particular, the people of the temple, they're not rude to you, but they don't pay you near as much attention as they do Berlinia. Berlinia seems to be the one who gets most of the alms and whatnot. People are just literally handing her bags of money at times.
I think what I would be doing is spending a little bit less time in the temple, and I think a little bit more time amongst the people, kind of like helping them rebuild their homes, fixing doors, just doing little stuff. And if people like try and offer me anything for it, I just wave them off and just let them know that I'm just happy to help. And, maybe fixing some thatch on their roof, or, just doing like basically like little handyman jobs, fixing mending fences and whatnot. And just out of the fact that, obviously I didn't get it's because I didn't roll high, people. I didn't roll high. I rolled a 12, like there's 100 numbers. And of course I had to roll under 20. So, but I'll just, out of the goodness of my heart, just like, no, you know what? Just keep your money. Let me just help. And, I just go out and start helping folks. And
yeah. And maybe even Vale's generosity indirectly steered people toward Berlinia. So the money that you would have been given was instead given to Berlinia, which is why she seems to have really cleaned up in that area. Vale, I would like you to give me a couple of... perception checks.
Oh, man. I suck at all of those. Actually, I can't even remember if I do or not. Yep, I suck at all of those. That's okay. How many rolls?
Tell me what you get, and I'll tell you if you have to keep rolling.
All right. An 8.
All right. Give me another one.
Oh, there you go. 18.
After the second day, while you're working around town, you notice that it's not uncommon to see strangers in any part of Port Nyanzaro. You yourself, up until just a few days ago, and still are considered to be strangers, foreigners to this land. But this is a city that's made up of people that have come and just never left. But newcomers tend to stand out. And these three figures that you see on the second day are definitely standing out. You see a tall, robed figure with a very loose, kind of billowy hood that always seems to shroud their face from view. Their sleeves are long and billowy. You can't see any trace of skin. You know only that it's a humanoid figure that's at least 6 feet tall. This figure is flanked by two individuals, a man and a woman, that they catch your eye in part because of their cleanliness, in part because of their beauty. They both, the man and the woman, have bright blue eyes, almost white blonde hair. They have a beauty that up until maybe a 10-day ago you would have just thought of as an appreciable human beauty. But now that you've been traveling for a 10-day or more with a celestial, you recognize that both of these figures have celestial features. They are both Asamar. And the last thing that you notice about these figures that is the most surprising yet familiar thing is both of them are wearing familiar vestments of some sort of holy order. The feature that stands out most is the red ribbons that are wrapped around their hands and up their arms.
And is Berlinian with me in any way, shape, or form?
Probably not at the moment when you first notice them, because this is on the second day. And now that you've noticed them, throughout the week, you would continue to see them. And they always seem to be watching the temple. Wherever Berlinia is, they seem to have an eye on it. What would you do over the course of these, after identifying this or noticing this?
I think I'd probably give it a day or maybe two. And if I still kept seeing them, like either coming over and then hiding away and then coming over and then hiding away, I'd probably just end up walking straight up to them. And if there's any other like townsfolk or any other like kids following me, I would make a big spectacle of it. And I'd be like, all right, hey, no, don't you leave. Come on, then. You're going to be standing here looking at that temple. You can stay here, look at the door. You can walk through it.
As you're walking across the road towards them and saying this, there is indeed a gaggle of kids, probably about 8 to 10 kids of different ages, as well as a few other people. And the streets are pretty busy. You're kind of speaking to them as you get within about 50 feet of them. And just as you kind of say, hold on, I see you there. It's just in that moment that somebody darts in front of you or one of the kids pulls on your sleeve and you look away for a fraction of a second. And when you look back, they're gone. And this would happen every time you try to approach them. They're always at a distance from you, at a minimum across the road from you.
Okay. I'm going to wait for them to just be watching the temple at some point, and then I'm going to flank around them and sneak up to them, like right behind them too. I'm going to make sure the kids kind of bugger off so I can like sneak in on my own.
All right.
And I will make that stealth check.
Give me a stealth check.
Oh, damn, Skippy. I'm going to sneak up on Brill's friends, and I'm going to scare the shit out of them. Not really, but we'll try. Oh my, yes. And that would be a 23. They probably have like plus 12 to their perception or something.
They're pet fiends, so just like invisible automatically.
They got eyes behind their heads, literally.
Believe it or not, none of them, two of them completely have no idea that you're there. And one of them was close. So how do you approach them from behind, where they're near a building about 2 buildings down from the temple?
So I'm going to sneak up behind them, and I'm just going to like sneak up right behind them. And the one who's like cloaked, because Vale is just one of those individuals that just, he just doesn't really get the whole, hierarchy and that, and it'd probably go right behind the male Azamar and this cloaked individual. And I'd probably just kind of like take one like gentle step in between them, and then throw one arm over each of them. Go, all right. There are better things to do in Port Nyanzaru than stare at a temple. One could even go inside, and I kind of like pull one arm away from the cloaked figure and kind of like stick a pitcher of Taj in between. One could have a drink and then go in. Huh? I mean, I'm not saying that you 3 standing here are a little bit creepy, but there's kids around. And quite frankly, you standing there staring all sentient statue-like is it's making some people feel a bit uneasy. Me, I don't think so. I think you're all right people. Especially seeing as how them red ribbons remind me of a certain friend mine. So what's your deal then? You gonna go say hi to Brill? You're just gonna stand here and stare at him?
So the hooded figure
stabs me in the face.
Makes as you put your arms kind of on them, this figure, you feel under the robe, you feel sinewy yet muscular shoulders. And you feel nothing tense, like no surprise there as your hand is there. Like they don't take any kind of reaction whatsoever. They actually don't interrupt you. The male and the female both turn to face you. And it's only after you're done speaking that the male kind of slides himself out from under your grasp and reaches up to remove your hand from the shoulder of the hooded figure. He takes a step forward, turns around to look at you. He reaches up and he lifts his hood kind of up and back so that the hood can clear his curling horns. As you see a almost violet-skinned tiefling male standing before you. You are an very presumptuous individual.
Says the man who looks like a walking aquamarine. Come on, then. You're just going to stand there staring at Brill from a distance? I mean, you're clearly part of a organization. Yeah, I think that's the best way to say it.
As you mentioned Brill again, you would notice both of the Asimar kind of casting furtive glances at the tiefling, who says simply, "It would appear that nothing escapes your gaze."
Well, I mean, see, funny thing, you don't meet a lot of Azamar. I mean, you just don't. You really don't. And that's understandable. And strangely enough, I now have the distinct pleasure of meeting 3 Azima. And here's the weird thing, is that all the Azima that I've met have these red ribbons. But I don't think it's an Azima thing. I think it's a your organization thing. So I ask you again, what you doing? I mean, you gonna go say hi to your compatriot? You know, is your audio equipment just gonna start falling all around you? I don't know.
What we are doing here in Port Nyanzaru is of our order's business. I do not know who you are or what your association with Sister Brilinia is. But if we wish to speak with her, or if we wish to take her back with us, this is not a thing to which you need to be a party of.
Great. Well, do you want me to just go and get her then? You're just going to stand here. We'll just go, go in and grab her. Apparently, you can't enter a temple for some strange reason or another. You'd just rather stand here and be creepers, just staring at the walls of a temple, other than going up. You see, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm a half elf of action. But I'm pretty sure that you're all action-oriented folk as well. So instead of just standing here staring, I mean, you're not afraid, are you? I mean, that's fine if you are. I mean, don't get you wrong. I'm not that type of person to tell you what you can and can't be. But I mean, if you're afraid, I can go and get it. We can do some introductions. We can sit down, have some tej. Oh, they have this great thing called Yaka beetles. Very, very nice.
He literally just starts laughing. You are a humorous individual. Do you ever stop talking and think about what you are doing? Berlinia, I would like a perception check to see, as you are going about your duties in the temple, or doing what you're doing, just to see if you happen to notice what's happening.
She rolled a 9. So.
Nope, you wouldn't see anything that's happening.
The one time you need to roll high, bro.
I know.
Now to be fair, I was being fairly animated about it. And my voice was probably raised like loud enough that, your average schmo would probably be like, So I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Vale, what time of day is it?
I'd say it's probably around 11, not quite noon, but getting there, little toasty, a little warm.
Right. With Vale's loud, nonstop talking, I'll say you can have advantage on this and roll one more time.
That's a 19.
Okay. So I imagine it's almost like a double take. Mm-hmm. Like you hear Vale always. Even if he's working by himself, Vale's talking. So you don't really think much of it until as you walk by one of the windows and you kind of glance out and you see Vale talking to somebody. And then you hear that very familiar laugh. What is your reaction from looking out the window of the temple, seeing Brother Mateus?
I can almost imagine that Berlina would be talking with someone almost and just take this cursory glance out and then just look again. And though her skin is very white, it almost becomes transparent as she sees Brother Mateus and the other two, and then she sees Vale with them. And she begins to just shake uncontrollably. And she's thinking about how she can get him away from them. Now, how are they situated? He's facing them? His back is towards the temple?
I would say Vale, because Vale approached from behind, you almost have a profile view, like a 3/4 profile view of the whole group standing there. Do you recognize the ASMR man and woman that are with Brother Mateus, or are they new?
They are new.
Okay.
They are younger, I would imagine, than she was there for, but she would go try and find like a back door and try and find a way where she could get his attention without getting their attention as best as she can.
So, as you notice them, and he kind of does this laugh thing and says to Vale about how he's always talking, there's that moment where you see from your perspective, and it's that kind of crash zoom thing the camera does where it looks like it's zooming in, but only the background's moving. And Brother Mateus, his eyes flick past Vale, and he meets your eyes, Berlinia. And Vale, you see this, that his eyes just flick up for a moment. And he says, perhaps you, a friend of Berlinia, can give to her a message from her brother Mateus. And he quickly withdraws from his sleeve a roll of parchment. And he begins to read. And he starts to tell you a message that at first what you hear sounds like you hear the words, from the order of the Weeping Friars. But as he begins speaking, his words seem to be bleeding into your mind as you hear, from the order of the Weeping Rasnek, Taltiasal, Ter Shultan, Telondo. And you see Berlinia from across the street as he begins to read. And then in your vision, for a moment, we're going to switch to Brother Mateus's perspective. As he continues reading, we see everything around him slowly come to a stop. Birds in flight. Somebody's pouring water, and the water stops flowing. There's a cart where a barrel is about in the process of falling over, and somebody's reaching to stop it, and they freeze in motion. And Brother Mateus freezes for a moment as well. And then he looks around, and he is the only one moving. So he takes the roll of parchment, and he rolls it up, and he tucks it in a sleeve. And then he looks at Vale, and then he looks across to the temple at Berlinia. And then he puts his hands out and puts one hand on each shoulder of the ASMR beside him. And all three of them are gone. And in that instant, for you, no time has passed. He looks at you, he begins reading this message, and it's not that he's just suddenly gone. It's almost like he wasn't there to begin with. It's not that you see him disappear. It's just like, wait, was I just talking to somebody? And you have this moment of confusion, Vale. And Berlinia, you see that same sense of, wait, did I just see what I thought I saw? And we're going to cut now back to the Wakange Otamu's a villa where Gunslinger Cole has been working all week translating documents. She's been doing some translation work in exchange for pay for Wakange. He had given her access to the libraries in the upper room, where partway through your studies, you stumbled across some very detailed set of documents, scrolls, maps, and everything about Mesro. And you turned your focus to not only doing the translation work you were doing, but also making copies for yourself, committing it to memory. And you've been doing this now for probably at least another 2.5 days. When, Cole, you hear a commotion downstairs. Not like a disruption, just it stands out because the servants who are normally quiet, the help around the house, they start, you hear more of them kind of concentrated in the entryway, and you hear Mistress Sylvain. You hear that name. And it's very easy to surmise that your patron, Salida Sylvain, or Sindra Sylvain, has returned from her sabbatical. Would you go down immediately, or what would you do?
First thing Cole finishes is that she finishes drawing the Wanti, or rather the half-snake, half-woman figure that she's pulled out of yet another document inside the Mesro document she's found. As she puts the last bit of shading on the sketch, she puts down the quill she's been using. She stands up, runs her hands over her bonneted head, and then she lights another cigarillo, drops it, steps on it, and walks out the door to go find Sindra.
So as you go downstairs, you see that Sindra has indeed returned. She's completely surrounded by Wakange's attendants, who are desperately trying to assist her in every way possible, and she's just shooing them away. And she sees you as you come downstairs, Cole, and she just says, "Please, Cole, if you could, assist me in getting away from these vultures."
Bashaba, Bashaba, Cole says under her breath as she steps down the stairs, and she does a loud, "Everyone get the fuck away, please. Thank you."
And Cole, I imagine you've developed a reputation with the household staff of getting what you want and
Basically, everything's snappy. We need it now. Listen to what I have to say.
And yes, everybody kind of immediately is just like, "Oh," and clears out of the way. Sindra just says, "Yes, thank you, Cole. It is good to be back." And you can tell that she looks better than she did when she left. But you can tell that her skin is hanging just a little looser on her bones. Her hair appears to have gone completely gray. And you can tell that the curse is still at work in her body.
Cole's eyes are basically snapping from detail to detail. She's trying to puzzle out how the wounds that she died from the first couple times she died are manifesting across her body. And just seeing that she's pretty much literally a leper right now, she would find Sindra a seat and she would guide her to it, saying to her, "Well, sabbatical, I hear. How was it? Where'd you go?"
Give me a perception check real quick at advantage.
At advantage. Okay, jump that one. That's going to, okay, that's terrible. It's going to be a 10.
Yeah, you just kind of notice that as you scan her body looking, you just notice that it looks like she's been through a lot. No one thing stands out in particular. In answer to your question, she just says, "I find that the ocean air does me good from time to time, as does visiting with the old dragon turtle. The old miser.
The thief one you're talking about?
He's been called worse.
I can only imagine. And as Sindra would sit down, Cole would lean against the table in front of her, cross her arms, and look to her. And she would ask her quite bluntly, but with an edge of caring in her voice, how much longer do you think you have?
How much longer do any of us have, really? I know only that with every day that passes, while you and your friends take a step closer to the grave, I seem to be moving in strides towards the grave.
And I assume no healing, no magic, no clerical prayers slow any of it down, do they?
I've tried them all to no avail.
Figures. Well then, Mr. Sylvain, I have a question for you. Your estate, all the things you've collected over your long lifetime, all the mementos of the battles and the cultures and the civilizations you both helped and crushed, what are you going to do with them when you die?
The entirety of my estate has been left to the wise council of Wakonga Otamu. I have orders that certain artifacts are to be disseminated to certain parties, but if you are concerned about your promised payment...
It's not about the payments. You have things that are amazing, things that no one else has ever seen eyes on before, things that could help people to see, help them understand the kind of world we live in. I'm an archaeologist. I'm sure you know that already. I come from an academy. I've worked hard to get where I am. And everything that you have, quite frankly, should be enshrined, should be put up for display, should be protected by people, but allowed open to the public to see too. That's what I'm concerned about, Mr. Sylvain.
Your concern for my possessions is admirable, Cole. Perhaps if you were to speak to Wakonga, he would allow you to catalog and identify certain artifacts that are not already spoken for.
Perhaps.
But you are already taking account of my possessions before my bones are laid to rest. Some might call that vulturous.
In Kalimshan, everyone is vulturous from the day they're born. That's how we live.
This is true. I spent a number of years with a Pasha of Kalimshan.
Interesting place if you look past the slums, but I have another question for you, Sindra. And she looks at her again and she asks her, this time not as bluntly, a bit of hesitation in her voice. How do you know what you know?
I'm afraid you're going to have to be a bit more specific.
Cole reaches into her sleeve and she pulls out a length of red ribbon. She twirls it around one finger, then around the other finger, pulling it taut in front of her sightline. And she looks at her again and she says, how do you know what you know?
As I've said, I have been over this world for a very long time. And I summoned each of you to see me in Baldur's Gate, but not until you had been thoroughly vetted. Let's just say I do my homework.
Fair enough. I'll let you have that one since you're a Harper. And our mention of the Harpers, we told you that we met Simba. We were friends with Dragonbait. Dragonbait came with us here, and now Dragonbait has been taken into the jungles of Chult, presumably to be used against Simba to get his ring. I need I think you need to know as well where exactly they went with Dragonbait, because I don't plan to let him be sacrificed, nor do I plan for the ring to be taken, nor do I plan for my heroes to be destroyed by the Zentarum.
I am both pleased and surprised to hear these things from you, Cole. For your concern for Dragonbait already shows a change in your attitude and personal direction from just 5 days ago before we spoke.
Cole winces, having like never had a mother figure speak to her like this, so she just kind of like tries to ignore it.
I assure you that both Wakongam and myself have kept a very thorough eye on the Zentarum and Queothe and our friend Dragonbait. You will perhaps be pleased to know that this foolish Zentarum, a mere day into the jungle, chose to leave Dragonbait in the charge of the Batiri goblins of the Biting Ant tribe, the very same goblins that took you captive. Let's just say that several goblins later, Dragonbait is no longer a prisoner and is presumably on his way to Arta Simba, or should I say Chultmas. She just gives kind of a chuckle to herself at that.
Cole smiles, and she takes the red ribbon off of her fingers and she slides it back into her sleeve. And she stands up fully now, not looking at Sindra, but kind of looking at the ground in that kind of like vague thinking way that people often do. And then she says, "We're no closer to the Soulmonger, but I have suspicions that something we may find at the heart of Uptau and something we may find in the lost city of Mesro may help us. I figure you might want an update since you hired us for this. But there's one other thing. Do you know how to speak Abyssal?"
I can't say that I have gained that particular knowledge as such in the traditional sense, but through the use of particular magics, I can make myself to understand Abyssal.
I didn't write down the words as carefully as I should have. So the translation, the document I have for you is useless, but our guide, Salida, when she had a mental breakdown as a result of a yellow creeper, she began shouting in Abyssal. Now, the way I take it, if you begin shouting in a language when you're having a mental attack, that language is likely your native tongue. That's fair to say, yeah? So, I have some concern about who Salida is, and I'm hoping you, with your vetted contacts, can help me figure out more about her.
Here's what I can tell you about Salida. You are wiser to keep her closer than further away. Well, I do not believe, particularly after your efforts of keeping her alive, that she means you direct harm. I'm not 100% convinced that she will not allow certain harms to come to you. You could do worse for a guide through the jungles, but you should always keep your eye on her. And don't be mistaken and think that I know more than I am revealing. I know only that she dwells at least 1 foot in the shadow that even my gaze cannot penetrate.
Well, if you can find a way to somehow stare through that shadow, that'd be mighty helpful for me and the rest.
While you and your friends continue into the jungles, I shall continue with my efforts to uncover what I can.
Thank you. Well then, she reaches in and she picks up a piece of fruit from the table. She kind of hands it over to Sindra, and then she takes another for herself. And she kind of like nods at her, and she says, "Back to work before the prince gets his panties in a bunch again."
So with that, we're going to fast track to it's the end of the week. Everybody would have presumably returned to the villa at the end of the night. Word would have reached you at the temple and on the docks, Ubo, that Sindra had returned. And the attendants have been putting your packs together. They have purchased you fresh new water jugs. You find a couple of attendants have come to you and told you that they have provided for you a canoe, with the only explanation that Wakange heard you arguing about whether or not you needed a boat. And they said, this way, you need not argue about the expense, only whether or not you will take it with you. All of your rations are topped off. So you will all have fresh rations, enough water for a couple days. Everything is topped off in preparations for your journey. And as you are getting everything kind of ready, on this last day, it's actually the next morning, this is when Salida returns. And she just kind of walks in to the villa and puts her pack down. And she doesn't say anything.
Cole would reach into her pocket, and she pulls out a small pouch, and she throws this clinking pouch to Salida. And when she would catch it, she would feel the weight of the gold coins for her payment.
Salida just does that thing where she kind of just like tosses it lightly once and feels the weight of it and slips it away into a pocket.
Enjoy a time off.
As it happens, you are a very dangerous group of people to be with. Our last, shall we say, adventure was very harrowing. I needed time to regroup. I feel better.
Cole takes another swag from her cigarello, and then she's going to hold it out with an obsidian gemstone attached to it as a roach. She holds it out for Salida to see if she takes it.
Yeah, I think she would take it.
And as they kind of like stand there sharing a cigarette, Cole would kind of nod and be like, yeah, not the easiest, not the best, but it is what it is. We're going to be heading straight to the heart of Ubtao from here. We have a canoe. Should make things easier, as you suggested. I'm expecting things are going to be a lot worse heading that down far south than it was heading up north, yeah?
And just like that, Salida is suddenly back in travel guide mode. And she says, yes, you can absolutely expect that things are going to be potentially much more difficult. When we spoke, there was a talk of traveling up the river Soshin Star to the Aldani Basin, looping around to the heart of Ubtao, and eventually making our way towards the ruins of Mesro up the river, or rather down the river. I know that your host, Wakange, has... Well, actually, I don't know if she would know that. Does she know about Vorn?
What is Vorn again?
Vorn was the journal that Wakange gave you, the Shield Guardian that's out in the...
No, I haven't shown that to her yet.
Have you shown her your map?
I have shown her, yes. You asked me the question like 4 times, Jake. She has seen the map.
Okay, because Wakange marked Vorn
he marked
on
it on
the
map, so yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to give her knowledge that she wouldn't necessarily have.
She would know about it because she's seen
So
the map.
she would say simply that you would traveling up the river here through the Eldani Basin is going to take several days. If you wish to go off river, a day or so into the woods, we can go after whatever this Vaughn is. Otherwise, we can stay on the river.
We'll do that while we're going and looking through the woods for whatever this Vaughn is. I've purchased a number of supplies, walker nuts, yucca beetles, all that stuff. I'm going to request that you help me look for these things out in the jungle, because a lot of these things, as my research tells me, are helpful for the many poisons and diseases we have to deal with. So, foraging is going to be a list.
All right. So does anybody else have any questions of Salida or Wakange? This is definitely... Mike, I know you can relate to this. It's that feeling of soldiers getting ready to head back out to the field, where you're leaving behind the comforts. Or if any of you've ever gone to camp or on a long camping trip or anything like that, it's just that palpable tension or sensation of you're going into it, except this time you're not sure how long you're going to be gone.
I think the only thing I would probably ask would be Merchant Prince, is there any way that you could maybe help us get some fancy kit before we go? Any sorts of magic weapons you've got, that would be quite a bit handy. And in return, I mean, we'll give them back to you, more or less. I mean, I wouldn't trust the turtle, but, you know, the rest of us are good for it. Oh, fuck off. You've got Ankylosaurus fucking gauntlets. I mean, piss on it.
I'm surprised you could say all that word in one statement sentence. Statement sentence.
My only question is, who carries the canoe?
You're strong. I mean, you practically got a canoe on your back.
Let the pockets handle it.
Actually, Wakange says, in answer to both of you, he says, he kind of laughs when you say that about who carries the canoe. The largest one is the one who worries about who carries what. I find this very funny.
Nah, he's lazy.
My friend Vale, I am a merchant prince of Port Nyanzaru. I, as you know, deal particularly in the buying and selling of magical items. Sometimes weapons, yes. I am not in the habit of giving away such things. However, it is told that you will perhaps find much out in the jungles. You are free to keep whatever you find, but know that you have a buyer here for what you do not want. However, I do not send you, either of you, any of you, into the jungles without something of value. And he goes, and the servants come in bearing a small package. It's a small box, and Wakange says a word and begins to kind of unpack it. And with a quick gesturing and almost an impossible... It seems that what he's created has taken more parts than what he pulled out of the bag. There is a canoe large enough for all of you. And he says, well, my villa is quite large. I will not take it to the next configuration inside here. But if necessary, you could make this into an even bigger vessel. And what he has given you is a folding boat. So,
those things are so cool.
Yeah, I kind of been holding that one in my back pocket. I wanted to give that to you guys for a while. It's
like, hey, here's a frigate and a briefcase. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it can go into like a 12-foot long canoe big enough for all four of you. or if need be, it turns into a 24-foot long boat with 7 sets of oars.
So we have a pocket longship, is what you're telling us, in case we want to go sailing the Iskwaf for a while.
Yeah, basically, yes. And it all fits inside your pack. And he folds it all down, and he hands it to Ubo, and he says, I think you can handle carrying this boat.
Don't know, it might be too heavy for him. You're going to be all right, Ubo. You need me to carry it for a while?
Not going to respond. Just going to put it in my pack, smile, and just shake my head at Vale, knowing that the last time we were together, I hit him.
So, if there are no further questions, you are able to begin your journey. Wakange Otamu and his retinue, they serve as short distance Sherpas for you, creating a small convoy escorting you out the southern part of town so that you can connect up with the river Soshenstar. I'm an idiot. I'm sitting here looking for the map, which is on my screen. I'm looking in the book trying to find this map. So they take you out and escort you along the coast of the bay to the mouth of the river. And he says, you are fortunate that the weather is in your favor of late. It has been more than half a week since that last storm, and the river is not flowing so very heavy, because you will have to paddle upriver till you get to the Eldani Basin. Salida knows this, but if a tropical storm should arise, it is best that you remove yourself from the water. It will become treacherous very rapidly. I look forward to seeing you in as many 10 days as it takes for you to accomplish that which you set out for. And he bids you farewell and takes his retinue with him. And soon the 4 of you, or I should say the 5 of you, with Salida, are left at the mouth of the river Soshenstar.
Imagine the moment the boat hits the water. Cole would just step in it, take a position by the paddle, and she's going to unfold the map on the ground of the canoe where she's sitting at. And she's going to look at the party and basically tell them what the pathway we're taking is. So she marks it down the river to the Eldani Basin. She circles the spot again where Congo is circled, where we're going to be looking for this mysterious foreign stuff that Wakonga wants us to find. Then we continue going down the river until we eventually have to trek over to the to the heart of Ubtao, which is very deep south. And then we go almost to the top of the continent, back to try and find the lost city of Mesro, where we will meet artist Simbar and Dragonbait, and hopefully find out more about the Soulmonger. And she also shows the rest of the party that a lot of the territory that we will be inside of is zombie territory. Fuck tons of undead. We'll go into bad places.
And as he says that, as Ubo gets into the boat with him, he takes that linen parcel that he had and just kind of pulls the two like gauntlets out and lets the linen fall. You just kind of see it floating on top of the water until it gets saturated and sinks down. And just kind of says, well, if we're going to be doing all that, and he just kind of puts these things on for the first time, it would be the first time that everybody saw what he had.
Nice. I like it.
Now,
Now,
those are pretty. Now, how are you gonna fucking pull an oar with them? Take them off, jeez. I'm gonna grab an oar.
they look new. I hope you keep maintenance on them because I expect, and Salida can double check me on this, that we're going to be out for a long time. A very long time. As in like 40 days or more, a long time.
And after you say that, Ubo sits near one of the oars, looks over at Vale, takes both of his hands and just kind of flicks them, and you just hear him go, ksh, and the things flip back, so he's got his hands again. And he's like, I got it.
And
Very, very nice. You twat.
Berlinia would just turn to Cole quickly and just say, and we're not coming back to Port Nyanzaru for a while, right?
A 40 to 80 day while, yeah. So by the time we return, two things. One, expect Sindra to be dead. I talked to the merchant prince about it. He tells me that basically they've talked about this and all of her estates and the payment for us and the whole mission switches to him when she passes away. So I fully expect that she will be in the grave when we return.
Well, I fucking hope not. I mean, jeez.
I know it's sad. I know it's something none of us want to hear, but it's the realistic nature of the situation. That being said, I have one more thing to bring up. Those flaming fists, right? The whole reason we have the charter. If we meet them, I have no intention of giving them anything.
Well, obviously, I mean, when we go out, we're probably not going to find anything now, are we?
We're going to find, well, if you're
We're
playing
not
coy,
going to find anything now, are we, Cole? Come on, Cole.
You're right.
I know you're quicker on the uptake than that.
She kind of like pulls at her jacket with its infinitely deep pocket. She says, "Well, yeah, I guess we don't have anything then if I'm not carrying it." But I digress. For the other two of us, we don't give them anything. I don't want to fight them either. She looks at Ubo when she says this. But if we have to, we have to.
So, first, I need each of you to roll me a D100.
Got a 72.
Got a 78, Big Daddy.
Drake and Mike.
12.
I got an 89.
Okay. So is your plan to, once you get far enough south on the river, to detour into the woods towards Vorn, or are you going to continue on towards the Eldani
We're
Basin?
going to be detouring towards Vorn and then head back towards the basin.
Okay. As you are, this conversation you're already having is as you are pushing oars, and while the river, you're pushing against the current right now, the current is it's a little stronger near the mouth, but it's not too much effort. Salida tells you that you'll obviously make much better progress when you go to River Tairiki than if traveling upstream. But you should be able to easily travel 20 to 30 miles a day upriver versus through the thickness of the jungle. Berlinia, what are your thoughts as you are paddling and you're just kind of listening to the sounds of the jungle, the rhythmic sound of the oars in the water, the labored breathing as everybody is rowing? As you think about whether or not you actually saw Brother Mateus in Port Nyanzaru.
I think for the first time, the thought of her not being able to return to her temple crosses her mind. She knows, she is sure, getting more and more sure that she did see him, because he has pulled this kind of stuff, with her in her presence. She's seen this. And she hopes that in this jungle, in this place, that they won't find her or her companions, because she doesn't know what will happen if they do.
And Mike, is Vale... What additional thoughts has Vale put into this encounter with this strange violet-skinned tiefling and his ASMR consorts that seem to have vanished?
I think that, like, I mean, Vale saw what he saw, and he knows that. So I think at some point, probably talk to Brill about it. Probably during the trip, or perhaps, maybe in private, something like that.
All right, well, I'll let you choose when he decides to bring that up. It looks like you've got a couple of days travel before you're going to be able to make it, begin trekking west through the jungle. This first day, as you're leaving Port Nyanzaru, seems to pass by relatively quickly, or uneventfully. The river's not too strong. The further away from the mouth you get, the current becomes almost lazy. You do notice that there are things in the river that would perhaps deter a casual swim. Not always, but occasionally swarms of fish that violently attack other creatures in the water and dispose of them quite quickly. Large shapes that almost seem like floating logs that suddenly disappear under the water, a crested ridge of spine trailing for 10, 15, 20 feet as it arcs below the surface. You hear sounds all throughout the jungle. Sounds that you've heard in the north, but more so as you're traveling into this jungle. Late on the first day, you're starting to think about setting up camp. Your arms are sore from rowing. If any less than two of you are rowing at any given time, the boat would actually stop moving forward. Everybody give me a perception check. And I'll roll for Salida.
Critical fail.
19.
11.
18.
I feel like Ubo's just constantly looking at his hands rowing, looking at these awesome gauntlets like, man, these things are badass. So you don't notice anything. What did you get, Cole?
I got an 11.
Yeah, you're constantly... I feel like you're studying the map. Cole's looking at the map, looking at all of this uncharted territory, trying to fill in the blanks with your mind, speculation of what could be there.
Most dead.
Salida doesn't seem to really notice anything, but Vale and Berlinia, you both notice the off to the right bank. You see a kind of caught on a tree. You see a canoe that appears to be empty, and it's just kind of clattering against a log. It looks like it's just caught up in the branches. And you can kind of see that there's something in the canoe, but you can't quite see from here what it is. What would you do? Both of you see this kind of at the same time.
I think that Bro would notice that maybe Vale looked over and she would, and saw it as well, and she would kind of lean over and just kind of say fairly quietly, just, over there, that canoe, do you think someone might be in trouble?
I'll be, bro. And she sees the canoe, and then she looks back at you and she says, remember our 3 sister friends?
Yeah, but you can't judge one situation with another. maybe we should just go look.
Cole gives you such a heavy deadpan, it's ridiculous. She's just like, girl, are you being dead ass right now?
Vale, you actually,
Yep.
Vale, you actually notice as your boat approaches, as you get closer, you notice that you can kind of see into the boat a little bit, and what you're seeing is familiar, and it takes you a minute to kind of place this because it's been a full 10 day. But with that perception roll, you would kind of, after a moment, you would suddenly place it as you see the kind of gray-green skin common to half-orcs. And you see that there's chain sleeves. And you remember the half-orc woman that approached you on your first day when you were at the Thundering Lizard bar and was looking for help to get to Camp Vengeance to the south. That she was willing to hire you to escort her. And she was a half-orc, and she was wearing chain armor.
Let's row over. Quickly now.
Not willing to debate this, Cole will just begin moving her oar so that way the ship can begin moving towards this canoe.
But what's going on? Why are we slowing down?
You remember that half orc that met us the first time? We were in the bar that you drank way the fuck too much in.
Mm-hmm.
One of many. It's her.
And then
Cold
Ubo would
eyes.
just kind of look over. Ubo would just
Cold
kind of
eyes
look over
over.
and okay.
What were you saying, Marquise?
I said Cole's eyes just twitched.
I'm just saying, you don't have to go right up to her, but let's get a closer look. Maybe by some grace of some god, she's still alive or something.
As you say this, you simultaneously hear the of a swarm of flies, the buzzing of a swarm of flies. You can see the cloud of black flies flying around and crawling across the body. At the same time that the stench of a several days dead corpse begins to greet your nose.
Cole asked Alita, how long does it take for someone who dies out here to go to something that's walking around again?
Often it depends on the nature in which they died, how they were killed, whether they had any protective magics on them. There are so many factors that can play into this. It is not always as simple as you die, you walk again.
Holy boy, have your sword ready, she would say to Vale.
How
And
close?
Go ahead.
Sorry. How close are we going to get to it? I have an idea.
Cole
we
would
get-
probably
about
10 feet away from it.
Okay. With that, with you saying, Vale, get your sword ready, Ubo's going to go into his pack, and he's going to pull out that collapsible pole that he got like 8 sessions ago. He's going to extend it to the full 10 feet, and he's just going to hold it and poke that full 10 feet, just seeing if she moves.
Oh, you're gonna disturb the flies. Oh,
Give me a dexterity check.
Strength monk.
6. It's -1.
What'd you get?
A 6.
Oh. The smell, the stench of death magnifies tenfold as you underestimate the distance and you puncture the bloated corpse with the pole. And the built-up gases in the body escape along with a flood of maggots. This
Sorry.
body does not move other than to slightly deflate and the writhing of the maggots. But again, Vale and Berlinia, with your keen eye as you noticed this thing, you notice that there is a crate with a medical symbol on it in the boat, along with some weathered supplies. They're already kind of mildewed over, like her pack and that kind of stuff.
Cole had given this woman a bunch of papers she had written about like diseases and whatnot in Chult. Would she see anything like that in the canoe or anywhere?
Nothing that seems to just be out in the open.
She would just suck in her breath, gag on it because it's disgusting, and then she would say, "Well, supplies. Should we grab them?"
I don't think Berlina would even wait. She, well, actually, she would look at the river first. Is it like super crazy moving?
Once you're off to the side, it's kind of, it looks like the boat got kind of caught in an eddy that was just kind of caught it up against this log, and that's why it's kind of clattering against this log, this deadfall, is that it's caught in this little swirling eddy kind of thing. The water, you can actually see the bottom. It looks like it might be 4 or 5 feet deep right here.
Okay, then she would immediately just kind of get off of the boat and just kind of start sloshing her way over, saying something about how this woman needs proper rite of burial and death.
Don't drink the water; it's toxic. We'll go after her.
Well, actually, right as you're getting in, Ubo would go, "You just have to be really careful." And he would stop and he would look at Vale and he would just nod and he would sit back down.
Just
I don't know what kind of talk you two dickmongers had, but when we're in the jungle, we need to move in pairs in case something attacks. If you two aren't going to do it, and then Cole hops off the boat and into the water and starts following after Brill.
And there you have it, pairs.
I'm sorry.
Bashala, bashala, bashala.
Sorry, Dick
Can we
Mongers
just-
got
can we-
me.
Did we just break you? What happened?
I'm
it's
sorry,
right,
Dick.
it's right up there with our fish wet.
Oh my gosh, Dick Monger just broke
Can
me.
we? I mean, the funny part is, those. Can we not just go for the fact that the one person who's immune to diseases is still sitting in the canoe?
Yeah,
You guys both jump in, and it's like you did. But here's the thing: you guys didn't even give me a chance to say anything.
You were
was
too
like-
busy tapping the side of your nose like, haha, I got to smooth the snot out. Thanks, Vale. Thanks, dog.
Oh man.
Well, you
Ooh,
could have
Dick
given me a
Mongers.
moment, like I'll jump in, but no, you just hopped right in. It's like, well,
All right, so who's in the water right now? Berlinia?
The two sisters.
All right, so Berlinia, as you get to the boat, you see that this corpse is in quite a state of decay now. And as you get closer, you actually see that she's kind of slumped over on her side. And as you move around to the side of the boat, you see that one whole half of her face is just caved in. Looks like something just smashed her in the head. And maybe that's accounting for why she hasn't risen as undead. But you see that all else that's in the boat besides her moldering supplies is this wooden crate that is labeled medical supplies.
Cole would. Oh, actually, go ahead first, Megan.
And so she would kind of go up and she would see that Cole is falling behind her as she kind of turns, and she would reach in and begin to kind of take out these supplies and go to hand it to her. I think we'll need this. Hopefully there's something in there that's useful.
In the boat for right now. And then when she says that she's going to pull herself into the boat, and then take out her trusty crowbar. And she says to you, I'm going to pop the crate open, see what's in here, If something grabs my face or rips off my jaw or blows out my throat, nice knowing you. And she puts the crowbar into the lip of the crate and begins to basically work it open.
All right. So since you're the one opening the crate, I'm going to have you roll 2d4.
2d4. Pull my dice roll. All right, I got a 7.
All right. You can hear as you're working this crate, and it's a box that's probably about 18 inches across, 18 inches wide, maybe a foot deep, a foot long. 18 inches long, a foot wide, and probably about 8 inches deep. And you can hear bottles. You can hear glass bottles kind of rattling as you're working at it. And when the top pops off, you see 7 healing potions in straw.
She reaches in, she takes up one of the healing potions, swirls it around, and she shows it to you first, Brill. And then she looks over to the rest of everyone on the boat. She says, "Healing potions. I'm going to store them in the pockets." And she's going to take out cloth to wrap up their glass in so they don't break in the pockets just in case some crazy magic fucks up the void inside there. And basically begin storing each of the 7 potions.
I'm going to say that of all the things, I rolled randomly on the chart of cached items because you guys rolled a cache. I rolled a 20.
Is that
You guys
good?
got lucky that you guys are loaded with healing potions.
Oh, yeah, bet. Dope.
So there's no reason for you to die unless Cole gets it and all the healing potions go with her.
Fine, I guess that means we'll keep her alive.
I suppose.
Fine. Whatever.
I need perception checks from Ubo and Vale. And disadvantage perception checks from Cole and Berlinia.
That's 17.
I got a 14.
I got a 19
Nice. Wow.
with a nat 20. And
And
I
Cole?
got a 5.
Okay. So whoops, hold on. Rolled the wrong one. Berlinia, does an 18 hit you?
yes.
From under the water, there's a sudden surge. The water does that thing where, because of water tension, surface tension, the surface isn't broken. It just looks like the surface rises. Something slams into you, Berlinia, underwater. And you take 10 points of bludgeoning damage as it clips into you. And you are suddenly pulled underwater. And you guys see this sudden ripple, this undulation. Berlinia kind of slams into the side of the boat and then is suddenly pulled under like Luke in the trash compactor. Because we need Star Wars references in Chult.
That's exactly what we need, dog.
And I'm going to go ahead and say let's roll for initiative. And then we'll see how this plays out.
11. I'm rolling like shit tonight.
18.
19.
That'd be a 23.
And a 4. Okay, so that's going to be Vale, Berlinia, Ubo, Cole, and then Thing.
Thing. That's great.
All right, so Vale, what are you doing? Berlinia just disappeared underwater.
All right. I am like not even going to react. I barely have enough time to say, don't you even fucking start with me, Ubo. When I draw out my rapier, and I'm going to jump, and I'm basically going to be like jump diving into the water, rapier first, attacking that thing, and trying real hard to hit it.
Okay. Go ahead and make an attack. I'm not going to make you roll at disadvantage. I'm just going to give it partial cover.
Okay.
Because of the water. And refraction.
All right. So just give me 1 second here. That's that would be a 23 to hit. Let me just double check here.
I haven't seen any of your guys' messages except that one, Marquise.
Just let I know I'm raging if this happens.
I'm changing the name of this to Throat Leeches.
Dope.
But does a 23 hit?
Yes, 23 is a hit.
All right, I'm going to turn this into a divine smite because I can.
And encounter's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, just shoot. You hit that thing with a nat 20? Yeah. Divine smite. Nope. I'm going to have to just do it this way. So. Oh, that's bad. That's just fucking badass. So. That. Oh, goodness.
I hope you're actually rolling high. And that is rolling
Yeah, I am. No, I am.
You have like a
I'm
2
not
on
kidding
your damage.
Well,
Divine Smite for 3.
It's well, because technically I rolled 3d8. I just rolled 3 7s.
Nice.
So 21 plus 6, so 27 points of damage.
And I'm gonna say that as you jump in the water, rapier first, your rapier, as it breaks the surface of the water, makes contact. What does it look like as this divine energy ripples through the water and you see the shape of a giant constrictor snake outlined?
I think as soon as I just jump in, the rapier just begins to just glow with this kind of like green crackling energy that begins to like kind of like ripple over the surface of the water, and like where it kind of snakes into the ground, like it plants and other grasses just begin to grow a bit more. But as it shoots into the ground, you see this kind of like this light as like almost like a depth charge, a radiant depth charge. As I just sink right in, you see this snake for a moment, and as it hits, you just see this like this concussive blast as it just this huge gout of water comes shooting up, and just this energy begins to crackle over. You can now see like this huge constrictor snake very easily in the water for just a moment before the water turns back into a murky slime.
And as that happens, Berlinia, you feel this creature release its grip on you. And you immediately break the surface, and it's your turn.
So, Berlinia is going to scream at Cole to get into the boat, because I'm pretty sure we're closer to the boat with the dead.
I'm in the
You're
boat.
in?
Yeah.
Okay, she's gonna try and get into the boat.
Okay, give me a athletics check.
Sure. That's a 14.
You're struggling, having just been attacked by this thing, and the boat, as you go to pull yourself up, the boat lists heavily towards you. Cole, I need a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, that's just beautiful, dog. That's gonna be a 15.
You just managed to kind of brace yourself and keep yourself from going overboard as Berlinia is desperately trying to pull herself into the boat. And you are not successful, Berlinia. I think with the boat tipping like this, you actually find that as you're kind of leaning on it and it's listed heavily to the side, the decaying corpse of this half orc is now pressing up against you.
She would call to Cole. Cole, can you give me and then just get smacked by this body.
And
Nice.
Ubo.
So we're still about 10 feet away, right? From the other boat?
Yep. And subsequently, the size of this snake is big enough that it's pretty much within, it's kind of between both boats, and you're basically within 5 feet of it.
Okay. I am going to snap these things down, obviously. But the first thing I'm going to do is jump in as close as I can to Brill. And as I'm standing in this at 4 feet of water, I'm almost 7 feet tall, so that's good. I'm going to try to grab her and literally like toss her into the boat. Like the other boat with the orc.
Yep, just give me a quick strength check. Because you're lifting a wet person out of water.
19.
Yeah, you easily lift her up into the boat. There's this unfortunate moment where, as Berlinia, you are lifted, the body of this half orc is kind of like boop, 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 up against you, and kind of like the decayed remnants of its face are kind of slid along yours for a moment. So you've got orc goo on you, but you are lifted up into the boat. Okay.
I would think that would be my action. Yeah. I don't think I could do anything else.
That is your action. Cole.
Once Brill is back safely inside of the dead orc's boats, she's going to quickly look over her shoulder at her and tell her, make yourself throw up now. If you don't know how to, 2 fingers down throat. She's telling that just in case she actually did drink some of the water, because Cole is very paranoid about throat leeches. And then she's going to turn back to where the snake is, and she has a thunder cannon already in her hands. She's going to take a quick shot at it.
All right.
All right, so that's going to be, let me check my mods real quick since I seem to have forgotten those. It's going to be an 18 to hit.
That is indeed going to hit.
All right, and I am charging this with a Thunder Blast. So it's going to be a total of 14 points of damage plus 2 for dex, so 16 points of damage.
Where did my pencil go?
Does that thunder blast hurt me if I'm in the water?
No, it's not electricity. It's just like a thunderous echo that's going to basically roll out across the water.
And this is a tremendous blast. You see through the water that it hits its mark.
I imagine that it's so loud that it actually spreads across the water, right? And you just get the water like ripple all the way down, and then they get that like explosion, like that death charge effect that Mike had with his smite earlier.
Yeah, it's exactly whatever you guys are doing is just like small scale warfare on this river snake.
We must conquer his territory.
Which is now going to attack at I think it's going to attack Vale, who just drove his sword into it. For all it knows, you also just shot it. Check die. You're lucky that was an 18. The new roll is a 2.
That hits.
Which is a +6, so it's an 8. As you see this massive snakehead rise up out of the water, its jaws snapping at you, and it just stops short in front of your face. As we go back to the top and Vale, it is your turn.
All right. I'm going to stab it in the face. As you do.
As you do.
As you do. And that'll be a 21 to hit.
That is definitely a hit.
And I think I'm not going to do a... Am I? Should I? Shouldn't I?
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, it's smite. It's smite. It's another slot, but that's fine. 9. So that's another 18 points. As I just.
What does it look like? What does it look like as you kill this snake?
So I think in the moment, staring at the snake, I have my rapier out, and water begins to kind of like coalesce on the blade, even though it's above this kind of like vine encrusted now blade, just covered with this kind of swamp water, and it just begins to ripple, and you can just see ripples. Even though the blade isn't touching the water, ripples are like moving out quickly from this blade, and suddenly I just shoot forward, almost coming right out of the water, and just exploding with this force, and this huge constrictor's head just splits, like basically just bifurcates, just splits right in half, and kind of hangs down on either side, and kind of like sways a little bit, and just crashes and floats to the water.
And just like that, what started just seemingly seconds ago appears to be over. And having not even had a chance to do anything from within the boat, Salida just looks at all of you and says, "It has not even been half a day, or not even been a whole day yet. I swear you are going to get me killed."
What? Did you just see what happened? Tell me you didn't just see that.
Our first night here, we were attacked by scorpions. It's a theme. First day out, giant creatures.
Yeah.
Second day out, angry assholes. Third day out,
Puns.
assholes. Oh,
Lots and lots of puns.
yes. Many puns and assholes
very
to go
many.
with the puns.
Yeah. Pass holes. Actually, if you really want to get technical.
Works.
Hey, Ubo. It's a nice job with them gauntlets.
Cole actually laughs at that. And then she looks at Bro to make sure she's making herself throw up.
So Brill is like looking at her hands and just like with this really, really confused and yet frightened
Jesus
look.
Christ.
But then she just says to Cole, "Give me a Yaka beetle."
We're not wasting a Yaka on this.
Oh,
And
come
she
on.
shoves her fingers down Bro's.
Berlinia, wait. What just happened? Did you just
Marcus
say you
just
shoved
his
your fingers down her throat? That happened
Cole
so
tried-
fast.
Cole is trying to make her throw up the diseased water.
Never
She
mind.
doesn't want
Go
her
for
sister getting throat leeches.
I think there's no constitution save necessary. That unless you're going to resist Gunslinger Cole, her fingers are in your throat and you are throwing up.
Everyone's had to do this for a friend before.
And after like
so-
everything is said and done, Berlinia's just, "I hate this place so much."
Yeah, well. And Cole's like washing off her hand in the water. And she's just saying like over her shoulder, "Yeah, well, throat leeches are a bitch. Read a book about them the other day. I saved your life. Or your throat. However you want to see it. Take me later."
Well, I'm glad you made her throw up because I cannot for the life of me find the disease section.
It's on page 40. Don't mind me, backseat DM, Marquise.
The whole time I've been trying to find it because I know where it is. Or I knew where it was. Okay. Well, I don't need that anymore.
So, Brill, did you did he make you throw up?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
she threw up all
imagine
over the
someone.
place.
I think we need some details on that. What does that look like?
No.
Azamar throw up glistening
No, no,
blood.
no, no. This is Ubo wants to know what this. What you?
What?
Hold on.
Chill out.
Don't judge me, bitch. Just Marquise, just do it.
What the,
Everybody's got their thing, Marquise.
what are we describing? The throw up or my fingers down her
Well,
throat?
was it on him? Was it on the corpse? Was it on yourself?
Oh,
Was it
no, it was definitely into the, like, she sticks her fingers down her throat and then moves her hair into the, like, over the water. Cole's an expert at this.
Okay.
I'm in the
Oh
water.
wait,
You know what?
You mean
I'm
into
in
the
the water.
water,
Holding the
into
hair
the water
back?
where Ubo
That's
and
a
Vale are?
Hence my point.
That's not my problem. Listen, throat leeches, dog. I'm getting rid of them.
Oh my god.
This is why you never read the book. You never read the book. Just play it.
Listen, the first thing I did was I learned about medicines in character. So this is what I'm doing. Diseases, excuse me.
Thank God, because I really don't want to see you role play a tracheotomy. So
Okay, so go ahead, Drake.
So as she vomits into the water, probably next to me, I would wait until Brill is done. And I'm sure she would like wipe her mouth off or something. I would kind of get right next to the boat that you're in. And I would just kind of, I'm probably 2 feet above, just kind of putting my hand up saying, hop on, I'll take you back. But I wouldn't say anything. But when I extended my hand, though, you would see those ribbons that I had before wrapped around my left wrist. You would notice that. But
Total romance is strange, Cole would say, as she jumps into the water and begins moving back to the original boat.
I do want from Ubo, I'm going to say at advantage, and Vale just straight. I need Constitution saving throws.
Remember that Vale's immune to disease, if it's for that. Yeah? If not, I'm just backseat DM.
Are you immune to disease right now?
yes, I am.
Oh.
Yeah, naturally, paladins are immune to disease at this level.
Well, then, don't you worry about it. This won't be a problem.
All right, then.
What about Ubo?
I'm sorry, what was I supposed to roll?
Con save.
Con save.
Okay.
At advantage.
Nat 20.
JK.
All right. Neither of you, well, actually, Vale, it doesn't matter if you ingested water, but Ubo, you managed to not ingest any water during the fray with all the splashes of water and everything going on. You actually do notice as you are making your way back to your own boat, Salida draws your attention as the body of the constrictor snake begins to kind of start to get caught up in the current. You see what looks like a bubbling, frothing near it. And the river, as it begins floating down, turns into a cloud of red. And in moments, before it's even 50 meters away from you, all you see is the ridges of this giant snake's bones as they sink below the surface.
Hungry fish, huh?
Damn. That's too bad. Really wanted to get the skin off it. I bet we could have turned a tidy profit.
Probably could have got the meat, had a nice stew tonight, but it is what it is.
Yeah, what it tastes like? Chicken?
Stronger. Tougher is the worst part. But if you stew it enough, right, it begins to like melt into the broth. It's pretty nice. Good flavor.
Salida just says, well, between this brief excursion and it is nearly the end of the day, I think perhaps we should find a place to pull up to the shore and set up camp for the night.
That's a grand idea.
Agreed.
And Fortunately, because you are traveling on the river, there's no need to make survival checks because you can't really get lost when you're traveling by river.
Yo, watch us.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say with the addition of traveling with the retinue, that on this day you actually traveled 3 hexes. And I need to dig out when I move things around. I put the map somewhere, the big map, so I can track exactly where you guys are at. And I will, now that you guys are exploring Chult proper, this map that I'm including in the inlay, I'm going to start revealing areas that you have been to. So I'll manipulate that accordingly. I think following this encounter and everything else, that as you set up camp for the night, this is where we will stop today. As we begin traveling in earnest with the next session. So, excellent.
Sorry, wait a second. So we're calling the canoe Ernest?
Well, you can call it whatever you want. So...
That was terrible, I know.
I will say once again,
I'm out of the campaign.
Just in case anybody's wondering, all of these encounters are using the Tomb of Annihilation's random generators. I have you all roll the D100s, and then I select by rolling or choosing from the things that you guys rolled. You rolled the hidden cache. You rolled the giant constrictor snake. You also rolled a couple other things, but I'm not going to tell you what those were. You came close to having something else happen, but yeah, and you saw the fate of the half-orc who was asking for your help.
Sad.
10 days
Not
ago.
Not only saw the fate, as a matter of fact, tasted its fate.
Oh yeah, Brill definitely tasted, may have ingested a part of her spirit. Although she threw it up, so no ghost possession there.
With the help of her favorite friend, Cole. I can honestly say in all the years I've been playing, I've never had a person shove their fingers down someone else's throat in the middle of a game. Marquise, you're very special.
Listen, man. Throat leeches? Not even once.
Oh, man. All right, well, once again, that is episode 13. Back on track of our Chult of Personality, Tomb of Annihilation campaign. Every Monday night at 8:30 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/mini-terrain-domain. I want to thank Mike, Marquise, Megan, and Drake, as always, for fantastic roleplay. Drake just disappeared and completely screwed up my overlay. I guess Drake had enough.
He wait for it to end.
Yeah, he definitely rage quit.
He said 5 a.m. early for me. Good night, guys. And pop.
We're still on broadcast. We weren't even done yet.
There's infinite Megans now. This is fantastic.
There's infinite Megans, infinite empty Ubos.
Infinite potential for throat leeches to return. I am scared.
I'm gonna roll randomly on the disease chart for Drake.
Could you imagine having leeches in your throat, Mike? Just imagine it. Leeches in your fucking throat, dog. I don't want no part of that.
Well, I mean, technically, they couldn't.
I don't want no Dick Monger answer. All right.
No, I mean, technically, really, they couldn't. I mean...
Dude, this is the Forgotten Realms. There could be leeches inside our fireballs, waiting to get in our eyes and then back in our fireballs, dog. You don't
like leeches, do you? Is this just a personal thing about leeches?
Me and leeches go way back. I don't want to go further than that.
It goes all the way back to Stand By Me.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, as I was saying, I want to thank everybody for playing tonight. Be sure to check out their Twitter handles, below their names there, check out their channels and what else they do. I do want to say that on twitch.tv/mini-terrain-domain, you've got Chult of Personality on Mondays. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, you've got Guild Artisan, where I do live terrain crafting and dice tower building. On Wednesdays, I do Mini Terrain Domain Plays Video Games, where right now I'm streaming the Tomb of Annihilation Tales from Candlekeep video game from BCom Studios. And right here on Sundays, our very own Marquise, along with Megan, Marquise is running the Savage Wastes of Cryfoth, the last 7 days. Megan, would you call that? How are you guys describing that? Is it a campaign setting? Is it a setting guide? What is it you're exactly calling Cryfoth?
It's a setting supplement.
A setting supplement with the 5th edition. Uses the 5th edition rule set, but creates a very brutal savage wasteland with demons and tieflings, and Marquise has them pushed to the limit. 20th level humans, the last humans on the planet, with only 7 days remaining. Actually, at this point, only 5 days remaining.
Yep.
Be sure to tune in on Sunday nights to this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern to see how that is playing out. And you can also check it out on your channel, which is... What is your YouTube channel, Marquise?
Stereotypical Marquise.
Stereotypical Marquise.
Yep. Episode 2 will be uploaded tomorrow.
Thank you, everybody, again for tuning in. I'm Jake. This has been MTD&D. And as we say every week before signing off, mittada and